Hello ladies and gentlemen, this is Tom with EasyWeb101.com here today to show you how to optimize your WordPress site or diagnose issues with speed, if it's running slow, if it's not loading, if it's got some problems. This is going to teach you how to get your site back in shape. Now this won't work 100% for every site, but this covers the most common issues, so you should be able to follow along with this video and get your site back to normal. If not, and you're still having trouble at the end of this video, feel free to reach out to me at easyweb101.com or thomas@easyweb101.com is my email. You can either go to the website or email me. We do offer optimization and diagnosis services, so we can help you out with that if you're having trouble and you need some help with your site. So we're going to start out. I'm going to run a quick test right now using GT metrics on the site that I actually just built this. I didn't have a site that was really in need of optimization, so I had to build one and make kind of the most common mistakes that people make on a website to get one that was poorly optimized so that we can fix it. So this is the website here that we've gone ahead and built today so that we can get it fixed. Now this one's not too bad as far as optimization already, or not optimization, but as far as page speed, it's not horrible. It could be a lot worse, but we've gone ahead and ran our test on GT metrics. You'll see the page speed score is an F, the Y slow score is 66%. We don't necessarily care about these up front. We will do something with those later on to get these back into shape. Our main concern right here is our fully loaded time is 3.9 seconds. The average user, if your site takes over 3 seconds to load, 40% of people are going to leave. So at 3.9 seconds, you're automatically losing 3% of your, or the 40% of your traffic right there, which is pretty bad. The other thing to look at here is our total page size is 3.82 megabytes. That's extremely large. And then we're also looking at our requests. Every request that your website makes is going to take it longer to load. So we have 62 requests right now. So you can't always get these down a whole lot, but we do definitely want to do something about that. We want to do something about the page size, and we want to get this load speed down. And then once we've got all that, then we'll kind of take a look at these scores and see what else we need to do. So as far as diagnosis, GT metrics is going to give us a lot of different information here about what could possibly be wrong with our site, as far as, like, it says optimize images. It's listing out some images that need to be optimized. It offers some advice as far as maybe we should defer parsing of JavaScript. It's got quite a bit of information. We're not going to go through that quite yet. So my step one here that I want to show you guys is basic WordPress maintenance. As much as that sounds like maybe counter what most people say. I know a lot of people in these videos dig straight into, okay, let's get into some caching plugins and, you know, show you how we're going to make this site faster. Well, step one is to perform the basic maintenance on your site. I always tell people it's kind of like your car. If you go in and your car is a little bit slow, it's not running so well, and then you go, well, let's put a supercharger on it and make it faster. Well, when's the last time you changed the oil? Well, if you haven't changed the oil in 10,000 miles, maybe we should change the oil before we start digging in and trying to make it fast. So right now we're going to go through some basic WordPress maintenance stuff to kind of clean up the site and get it back in shape, and then we'll look at optimizing it. So one of the first things that we're going to do here, we're going to install a plugin that we are going to use to optimize the site later, but this is going to help us view some information about the site that will help you understand what it is that we're trying to accomplish here. So we're going to go into our plugins, we're going to go to add new, and and we're going to we're going to search for a plugin called WP-Optimize. And it's right there. We're going to go ahead and install that. We're also going to get this plugin while we're at it. This plugin's super useful. Smush is what it's called, Image Compression and Optimization. We'll go ahead and activate WP Optimize first here. Alright, that's activated, and we're going to come back. We're going to add new, and then we're going to search for WP Smush. This will help us out with our image sizes later on. Usually images are a big problem as far as your page size. So we'll go ahead and get that one in here now as well. Alright, activate. Alright, so now that we have those in here, we're going to scroll down and we're going to go to WP Optimize, hover your mouse over that, and then you're going to click Database. From Database, you're going to see two tabs up here, Optimizations and Tables. As of right now, what we're going to do is we're just going to look at the tables here, and I just want to show you kind of the goal of what we're trying to do. So as you can see, when we scroll down, we have a total size of database at 12.6 megabytes. That's fairly large for a site, you know, for what we have here. This is a really simple site. Typically, a simple site like this should land probably more in the 2 to 5 megabyte range for a database. Big e-commerce site or something might be more in the 20 megabyte range. Database size is huge for WordPress. It's one of the most common issues for slowdown. The whole WordPress site is essentially database driven. So if there's a lot of junk data in there, it's really going to slow it down. So what we're going to do with our maintenance is we're going to focus on getting this cleaned up and down to size by removing junk data within the WordPress website. So we're going to kind of start with our plugins here and go there first. Plugins is usually a big problem. A lot of people, when they're building a site, they test out plugins, they decide not to use them, they don't clear them out and get rid of them. All of that stuff takes up information in your database that really doesn't need to be there. It's slowing down your site for no reason. So we're going to go through our plugins here. This is typically what I see when I get into a site that really needs to be optimized. Somebody, you know, a client asked me to go ahead and do it. A lot of times you'll see inactive plugins. Inactive plugins should be removed. They're taking up, like I said, making junk data in the database, and also there's security issues. So if you're not using them, they still need to be updated, and they still have security vulnerabilities, so you might as well get rid of them to avoid those kind of issues. Additionally, a lot of times there's plugins that just aren't in use. So like right now, when I'm going through my plugin list, sometimes it's hard to tell if you're using it or not, especially if you didn't build the site and you're not real tech savvy. What you can do is you can always try just deactivating the plugin. If you turn it off and something on the site breaks, then you know that you needed that. So like I turned that off, I refreshed the site, it's still okay, so I didn't need that. But a lot of times you can also tell just by what it is with the description. So like BB Press is a forum software with a twist from the creators of WordPress. Well, I don't have a forum on my website, so I know I'm not using that, so I can definitely get rid of that. Now we can start running through some of the other plugins here. I see that Breezy is in here. We're going to go ahead and deactivate that because it says it's a front-end drag and drop front-end page builder. Excuse me. I know that my site's built with Elementor, so I'm not using that, so I can definitely get rid of that. BuddyPress, community features to WordPress, not using that. Something about fitness, well, this is a site about pets, so definitely not using that. Fitness schedule, fitness calculator, health and fitness. You can tell I just installed whatever random plugins I could find to make a point. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to, actually we didn't really need to select these yet, but we're going to select all the plugins that are active that we know we're not using. And so I've got all those selected. and we're going to go ahead and go to deactivate from the menu here and hit apply so we can turn those off. Once we turn those off, we're going to be able to uninstall them. So we'll go ahead and check all the inactive plugins that are in here. If it's inactive, you're not using it, so don't worry about it. You know, assuming you tested these before you deactivated them, like I said. And then we're going to select delete now, and we're going to go ahead and hit apply again, and that's going to clear out all of those plugins for us. We'll give it just a minute to do that. Alright, so we've got all those gone, and let's go back and we'll take a look at our database again, just for curiosity's sake, so I can show you guys as we go along the difference some of this stuff is making. So as of right now, we'll hit refresh tables here at the top, and we'll see didn't make much difference as far as that goes. Okay, sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. Now the next thing that we're going to want to do is we're going to want to clear out junk inside the website that we know we're not using as well. So for instance, in the media library, a lot of times people store pictures in here that they're not using. We want to get rid of those as well. So let's take a look at our pictures that we have in here. Definitely there's a lot of pictures in here that have nothing to do with my site. So what we're going to do is we're going to hit the bulk select here, and we're going to start running through these images, and we're going to get them out of the way. As we go through here, a little tip, I suggest select not too many at a time and delete them, because if you do too many at once, like if I go through this whole site, we might have a problem. Although that's actually all I need to delete, so we're kind of good with this. So, but about this many, no problem there. So check all the ones that you're not using in the website. If you're unsure, not a big deal to leave it. This isn't going to make a huge difference, but it does make a little bit of difference. So we'll go ahead and delete permanently on those. Get our media library nice and clean. Should only take a second here. Okie dokie. We seem to be in better shape there. And oops, we missed one. Let's go ahead and get rid of this one too. Alright, so now we've only got images with our dogs and pets in here. That's definitely a lot better. So we'll be happy with that. Oh, we missed a couple. Look, there's a cat and a hamster there. We're definitely not using those either. So we can go ahead and get rid of those. Not a hamster, guinea pig, whatever you want to call it. Okay, so we've got our media library cleaned up. Moving on to the next one. You're going to do this in both posts and pages, but look for stuff that you're not using. A lot of times I come in here and I see, you know, random pages that people aren't using, and they don't know why it's there. So you need to go ahead and get rid of those too. Those take up a lot of space in the database. So I know my main pages are the ones with actual titles here. And look, I've got these 3 pages that say Breezy on it. Well, I know I deleted the Breezy plugin. So, you know, a lot of times what happens, I see people, they start out with one page builder, build some stuff, and then switch to another one and forget to get rid of the old stuff. So we'll go ahead and move that to the trash and clear out those pages that we're not using so that we're only left with the pages that we are using. These are all definitely pages that we want here, so we're happy with that. Make sure that after you apply, or you check those, you go to trash, apply, and then you're going to want to come in here and to the trash and then hit the empty trash button here so that we can clear those out and get them out of the way. Another frequent issue that I see is comments. First of all, if you're getting a lot of comments, you need to install something to take care of comment spam. You can look at, the most common one is Akismet, but there's other things. You can also just look at disabling comments on your website if you don't really want comments. But a lot of times when you come in here, you'll see comments like this, just absolute spam, gibberish. It's definitely shouldn't be there. It's not a legitimate comment. All of these are also taking up information in the database, or space in the database. So we're going to go ahead and clean these out too. I recommend for most sites you probably just want to trash all the comments unless you have like a blog that people actually comment on. But so we'll go ahead and check those. We hit move to trash and apply. Now we've got all those in the trash. We're going to go ahead and empty these out as well. And that takes care of our junk data mostly there. We cleaned up the media library. We know our posts are good. We cleaned out pages. We cleaned out junk comments. So we've gotten rid of a lot of junk stuff that was in the site that didn't need to be there. So we'll kind of take a look now, see how much difference that made as far as the database size. Again, may not make a whole lot of difference. Did not quite yet, no problem. It's still good to get rid of that stuff. So now we're going to actually start optimizing the database just a tiny bit here. We're not going to go through the full thing, but as we come in here, we'll see these tables here which say like WP booking, and it says belongs to booking, not installed, and there's a remove button to the right. So this WP Optimize is telling us, hey, this plugin's no longer installed, you're not using this, you can go ahead and get rid of this. So we're going to start removing these tables one by one just to get these out of the way and make sure that we don't have other junk data in there that we don't need. And this is probably really where we'll start seeing a little bit of difference removing this stuff, because we did remove the plugins, but their data was still there. So we'll go ahead and clean through all of these. Shouldn't take too long. Alrighty. Okay. Alright, so that gets rid of all those, and we'll see still 12.6. This one's stubborn. We're going to have to definitely do some cleaning there. You will see this column right here is overhead is what it's called, and it says 7.0 megabytes. This is, overhead is all junk data, so at least 7 megabytes of this is just junk data that's getting stored in here. But we're going to come back to this in a minute and run some optimizations, but we kind of want to optimize the website when we're done with it as opposed to now. So now we're going to start digging through the content and see where some of the other problems are as far as size now that we've gotten the data cleaned out. So we're going to go back to our GT metrics report, and we're going to take a peek at this now and see what's what in here. So total page size 3.82 megabytes. Like I said, we know that's a problem, so we want to find out why this website is so big, especially because it's just a really simple page. So we're going to look along the tabs here, and you'll see where it says waterfall right there. Underneath of waterfall, this is going to show us where every element in the page is coming from, exactly what it is doing. So we're going to go ahead and hit the size tab here, and you'll have to hit it twice probably to get it to sort, but we want to go from largest to smallest. So this tells us right here some of the images that we have that are extremely large. This one right off the bat, 1.3 megabytes, way too big for a single image. Definitely not optimized at all. So you can actually click on the link there. If you saw what I did, we actually click the plus next to it, and then you'll click this link, and it'll show you what image it is that's actually really large. So as you can see, this is definitely you can definitely trim this down a little bit. If we compare it to the front page and we see what image that is, you see how small it is on this page versus it's that big, full size. We don't need an image that big. So what we're going to do is we're going to go back to the WordPress dashboard, and now we're going to go to Smush, and there's an option in here that we want to enable that'll help give us some data on what size certain images need to be. Now I will say it's not 100%. It doesn't always show you everything as far as exactly how small it needs to be, but if you come in here and you go from Smush, we're going to go ahead and go to let's see, from our settings, tab, when we first click on it, you'll see this option here, detect and show incorrectly sized images. Mine's currently on. You're going to want to turn that on because it'll be off for you by default. You're also going to want to have resize my full size images by default as well. That way you can, when you upload images in the future, this will automatically take care of some of this for you so you don't have any future issues there. Once we've got that, we're going to want to hit Save Changes. And what this is going to do is going to add a little thing to the front of the site here. And inside of our page builder it shows up too, but it doesn't work very well in there. But on the front of our site, you're going to have this little tab with the little info sign. Now, your customers won't see this. This is strictly something you see in the admin dashboard. But you'll see it shows us image issues, oversized, and it mentions these two images as well. So if we click on this, it's going to see how it hovers over that, and it shows you, okay, this one's 1920 by 2745. It needs to be 289 by 413. So I'm going to take a note outside of here in Notepad about that one. And then the other one needs to be, when we click that, it needs to be 273 by 409. 273 by 409. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to resize these images. We're also probably going to take care of some other ones while we're at it. But we'll go ahead and we'll go in here to our media library. And from there, we're going to, how did those get back in there? See, more images that shouldn't be there. We're going to get rid of those too while I've seen it. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and we will find those images here within the library. One of them is right there. So we're going to click Edit. We're going to go to View Attachment Page. Oops, excuse me, not that one. Sorry, I need more coffee as of today. Edit more details. This is where we're going to get a little bit more info about this particular image. So we can see right now it's 851 kilobytes. The dimensions 1920 by 2745. We're going to go ahead and edit this image by clicking down here. We'll click Edit Image. And this is going to bring us into our image editor. So now what we're going to do is we're actually going to, you can just scale it down and crop it, or excuse me, just scale it down to the correct size right there. Also, sometimes what helps is if there is maybe some space in here that you feel like doesn't really need to be there, you can also consider cropping this image a little bit. Frequently, some stuff, you just don't really need an image that's that big. So you saw I click the crop button up here, and then we can go ahead and outline more of the area that we need. We'll click this crop button again, and right now that's going to take some data out of the image alone right there. So not that that'll make a huge difference, but if we hit update, you'll see right there just that little bit of cropping already knocked it down to 352 kilobytes. So that's pretty nice. Now if we take and scale this to the correct dimensions that it gave us earlier, which was 289 by 413, that image isn't going to fit exactly that size, so it's going to scale proportionately, so it's going to go 432, but close enough. We'll go ahead and plug in those dimensions there. We're going to hit scale. That's going to get the image down to proper size, and we're going to update one more time, and you'll see we took that image from what was it, 1.2 megabytes, I believe. Yeah, 1.3 megabytes down to 32 kilobytes. And let's take a look. We're also going to need to go back. Typically, a lot of times you have to go back into your page builder, and reselect that image. Not always, but let's just see what it does here. So we're going to edit with Elementor. go ahead and click, and we'll find that image here again. Where is it? This one. Okay, insert. Perfect. Alright, so you tell me, how much difference do you notice? If you find that it's a little blurry for your taste, it's not exactly what you hoped for, no big deal there. Just so you know, you can go back and back to your media library. Oops, hang on. I'm actually going to leave this alone because I'm okay with the way that it looks. My monitor is fairly large, 32-inch screen, so most monitors are not going to be that big. But anyway, so update, we'll go ahead and leave the dashboard here. Advanced style, whoops, exit to dashboard. We'll go back to our media library. I'll show you how to restore an image in case you're not happy with the results. So if you go back here, edit more details again, and then we're going to do oh, actually, you know what? I forgot. There is no restore now on this one. I will show you that on the next one. So I forgot, you want to check that before you log out of that page. So let's do the other one here, and I'll show you what I'm talking about. Where are we? Here. This one, edit more details, and we'll go ahead and crop this one as well. First, edit image, and we'll go ahead and crop. I'm going to cut out all that right there. Hit the crop button. Hit save. And then we'll do edit one more time. And go ahead and do our scale here. So this one was supposed to be 273 by 409. It's a little small on that side, so I'm going to up this just a little bit so it's a little closer to the dimensions as far as here. And then we'll hit scale here. And this is what I meant to show you before. So you can actually see the image right here beforehand. If it's too blurry for you, you can actually hit where restore original image, and then you can hit restore image, and it will put it back to how it was. So I don't want to do that, obviously. Like I said, I need this to be what it is, so we're going to go here. And then we're going to hit scale and update. Alright, and that's gone from almost 1 megabyte down to 47 kilobytes. Now, even though these are the two main large images, and these are the only ones that are Smush plugin mentions, there's still other images that likely need to be optimized. So actually, see, this did update it, so I didn't need to go back into the page builder. Sometimes you do, sometimes you don't. I don't know why. But anyways, so we got that done. Now some other images. Let's go ahead and look at what else is going on in here. We can see we've got two other kind of large images here. Our happy dogs and our dogs running that are 796 and 354. If I had to take a bet, those probably don't need to be as large as they are. So that one is our background image. We do want that to be a little bit larger, but we don't need it to be that large. And then additionally, we'll come to dog running here, and we'll see, okay, so that's that image. Again, that is another background image on the page. So we've got these two that are still a little bit large for my liking. I like to see most WordPress image sizes under 200 kilobytes. We are going to use some image compression, which will help out some of these if we need to. But for now, we're going to resize those ones a little bit as well. So we'll go back to our media library, and we're going to run through this one or two more times here. So I'll probably speed up the video for this so that you guys don't have to follow along with all this. Let's see. So we're going to do that, and we're going to do edit more details again, and then we're going to come in here and do edit image. And then from there, I'm going to go ahead and crop this just a hair. Just a hair. Crop. Save. Alright, and then I can see it's 1780 by 1000. Wait, let's hit update first. Sorry. Update 1780 by 1000, 335 kilobytes. I still want to scale that a little bit. 1780 is generally a little bigger than you need. Usually maybe around like 1200, 1300 is probably fine for the width here. So we'll go ahead and scale that, and it'll give us a new image. We'll go ahead and view that image. That is much smaller than it was supposed to be. Oh, whoops, I did that wrong. Ignore me. Again, not enough coffee today. Alright, edit image. Oh, wait, we just looked at the full preview. We're fine. Okay, update. Alright, 179 kilobytes now. So let's go back to the website, see if it made much of a difference. If it did, you know, no problem. We can always go back to what it is. I don't see much as far as the difference. This, by the way, is kind of a cool feature of Firefox that shows you, yeah, so this isn't loading the new image yet at 795 kilobytes. So this is where, like I said, sometimes you have to go back to the page and reload it. I don't know why. Actually, before I get back into the page builder, let me resize the other image here real quick as well. So we'll do this one. Alright, crop. And we're going to go ahead and take it down to around about that size-ish. Bring this up just a little bit. Crop. Save. Do 1555 is that size now. Again, I want to edit that a little bit more. And we're going to go ahead and scale. I'll do 1300 on this one as well. Scale. And we'll go ahead and, let's see, that's saved. So that image is now down to 142 kilobytes. That's much better. And again, we're going to compress these a little bit more. So, all right, quickly we'll go back into the page builder. I'm going to reselect those images here. New image, insert media. We'll go to the next one. Bloop, style. And then insert media, where is he at? There he is. Insert media. And you can see in the preview here, both of those look fine. So they really didn't need to be that large, even though they are background images. I know I hear a lot of people that are worried about that. Oh, well, that's my background image. It needs to be large. No, you won't notice the difference if you scale them down most of the time. Alright, so as of right now, we're at a pretty good starting point. So I'm going to go ahead and run kind of a quick test to show you the difference of where we started versus where we are now, just by optimizing the database, taking out plugins, and then reducing image sizes, taking out pages, just kind of cleaning everything up. We're going to go ahead and retest, and we'll see how it looks now. Well, I'm waiting for that for just a second here. I need to close these. Okay, so you see our page size has gone down to 926 kilobytes. We're down to 2.7 seconds on a load time. We're getting a B on the score, which is a little bit better. We do need to leverage browser caching, and it still says optimize images, which is a matter of us doing a little bit of compression on these images, and we've gotten our requests down a little bit by deactivating some of those plugins. So let's go through, and we're going to continue doing a little bit of optimization here. So now what we're going to do, we're going to come into Smush here, and this is where we're going to finally compress our images. So we've got 57 attachments here, and I do select the strip my image metadata because that's just junk data that does not need to be there. So we'll go ahead and do bulk smush now. And then while we're waiting on that, one of the other things that we want to do to get our page size down even further is we want to actually enable what's called gzip compression. So we're going to do that in cPanel now while we're waiting on that. If you don't have cPanel, you may need to talk to your hosting provider about exactly how to do this. But in cPanel, what you're going to do is you're going to come in, use the search box, search for optimized website. You can go ahead and click that. And then from here, there's a couple different options. It says disabled, compress all content, and compress the specified MIME types. So we want to do specified MIME types. Now, a lot of people might think, well, why don't I just want to compress everything? The reason why is we're actually compressing the images to the most efficient possible format that we can right now, and the gzip compression actually works counterintuitive to that. So it's actually going to make the image sizes as larger than our currently compressed sizes from WP Smush. So we're going to do instead just compress the specified MIME types. And then as you can see, I've got these specified MIME types in here, which are your text files pretty much. These are all things that would be really heavy on text, and we're going to go ahead and compress these. So text/HTML, text/plain, text/XML, text/CSS, and text/JavaScript. Those are the ones that you want. Once you've got those in there, you're going to go ahead and hit Update Settings. That's going to enable gzip to work on the server, and then later on we're going to actually configure a plugin to use that. Now we're going to come back and we're looking at WP Smush. We can still see that it's doing a little bit of work here. 50 out of 57 images. By the way, I forgot to mention, you may not necessarily want to compress everything. Typically I do, which is why I use the bulk smush, but you can also go into directory smush and select the images individually here. So it's probably not going to let me do it and run that at the same time, but, or excuse me, choose directory will allow you to, that's right, that's to pick a specific directory. Nope, that's what it is. Smush individual images via your media library, so you can actually come in here and do individual ones instead. We'll look at that while it finishes the last 7 there. So if we click on this, and I believe edit more details, and then you can come in here and actually just select and compress individual images if you don't want to compress everything. Most of the time you do. Alright, so we've got all that compressed, and that takes care of, let's see, our images are compressed. We've cleared out all the junk data. So our final thing, we really need to just optimize the database, and then we're going to work on the actual performance of everything. So now we're going to go back to WP Optimize, and we're going to go to Database, and within Database, we're going to check all of these. Now, I should have mentioned this at the beginning. Make sure you take a backup of your website before you do this. All of this, I would assume that most people did, but if you haven't, definitely want to do it now before you start messing with the database. Images, not that big of a deal. Database, can be a really big deal. So I've got a backup of this. I'm not worried about it. Usually WP Optimize doesn't have any issues anyways, but just side note, before you start doing database work, go ahead and take a backup. Anyways, so we're going to check this to do all of these and then remove all transient options, and that'll take care of, or this is really going to do the final cleanup of our database here. So we'll let this run for a minute, and then I'm going to show you the final difference between the database. I always wait to the end to actually do this database optimization because we're removing a lot of junk data, and we don't want this to run until all of it is cleaned out, all of those junk plugins and everything else. Otherwise, it's not going to clean out that data that we really want to get rid of. So this is what's going to make the real difference in our database size right now. So it's done. We're going to come back here in tables, and I'll show you the final difference here. So we were at 12.6 megabytes. You can see we're at 1.4 now. So there's 11.2 megabytes of junk data in this database. So almost 10 times what should have been there. All right, so now we've got the database cleaned, we've got our images compressed, and we've got them resized, so everything's in good shape there. We've cleaned out the plugins, we've cleaned out our pages, our comments. Pretty much we've cleaned out all the stuff that we can possibly clean out. So at this point, our site, as far as maintenance, is clean and happy, and we're in good shape. So let's take a look at test with everything just cleaned, and then we're going to do some optimizations, and we're going to speed it up even more. So we'll do one more retest. We were at 2.7 seconds, I believe 976 kilobytes, 30 some odd requests. The request shouldn't change, but let's take a look here. Alright, so 2.7 seconds, 926 kilobytes, so didn't make a ton of difference as far as our images go there. Wah, wah. Actually, is it going to make me go in and reselect all those images? So this is that point where I was saying you may have to go back through the website and reselect images inside your page builder. I'm not going to do that right now, but since it's still saying the same as far as our optimized images there, that was not what I was hoping for, so that's a little bit disappointing. But you may have to go back through here and just come to your images here and just reselect it from the library here to kind of make the difference. So yeah, I'm not going to make you guys watch that on video here. But anyways, so oh, these are probably some big ones that aren't good. Let's see. Bet you. Apply. Alright, I don't know if that made a whole lot of difference, but we reselected a few of them. Alright, anyways, we're going to move on to actually optimizing the website, the final kind of step here once you've got everything cleaned. Like I said, we're going to actually make it score a little better as far as this goes, and the page speed, and just generally make things faster. So also hopefully reduce some requests. So our final step here is that we want to come into the plugins, and we want to get one more plugin here. We're going to get a caching plugin. So what a caching plugin does, well actually first let's search for the plugin itself. We're going to get WP Fastest Cache. There's a lot of caching plugins that are out there. I like WP Fastest Cache because it's really simple to configure. It doesn't have a lot of options to confuse you. Some of the other ones are pretty complicated and you can make some mistakes. So But anyways, what the fastest cache is going to do is it takes the static content on your site, so like your images that don't really change, your text, that kind of stuff, and it actually, realistically, it turns it into an HTML version of the site, which is a lot faster because it doesn't have to make as many of these requests that I was talking about here. So yeah, so what we're going to do now that that's installed and activated, we're going to go to WP Fastest Cache here, and we're going to start enabling options. So we're going to enable the cache system here, and then preload, create a cache of the site automatically. Typically you're going to want to select all these options. There's not really a reason not to, but, well, you may find some, but as far as I've ever seen, there isn't. We're selecting clear all cache in these windows. That's so that when you make updates, it clears the cache for you. Otherwise, you have to manually clear cache by coming up here and going to delete cache and minified CSS. You still have to do that half the time, just to be honest. But anyways, so we're going to keep going down here. Minify CSS, combine CSS. This helps reduce our HTTP requests. Same thing with combine JS. gzip. This is where we're actually making gzip work with the server as far as the, like I said, we enable it in cPanel over here, and then from there we need to enable it here as well. So we're going to do that. We're going to hit submit. And I don't know why, but I always like to hit this button right after I do it. It's just building the cache, but alright. So what we're going to do now is we're actually going to give it a minute to build the cache. What I like to do, open up, if you're using Firefox, a private window, or switch to a different browser or incognito, and oops, ignore that, and actually go to the website. So speed. This helps the website load and tells the system to start triggering the cache and building up the cache in the back end there. So alright, that should be enough. Let's go ahead and give it a retest. After enabling cache, I usually test it maybe twice, just because sometimes the first time it's still building the cache. And sometimes you may need to, if you have a really big website, you may need to give this like 5 or 10 minutes before doing the final test. But as you can see, we did good here. So our page speed score is now 94% with the caching plugin enabled. The final thing is just optimizing those images, which, or like I said, I need to go back through the website and actually reselect those images. This isn't huge, you know, some of this stuff, if you're a little bit off on page speed score, don't worry about it. This is your primary concern. Our fully loaded time is now 1.6 seconds, whereas we started, I believe, around 3.9. Like I said, we wanted it under 3 seconds. We're well under that now. Total page size, we're down to 917 kilobytes, so a lot more in line instead of the original 3.9 megabytes. And our request is down a little bit. Didn't drop significantly. Some websites it will. Don't pay too much attention to this. Every WordPress site is going to make a lot of requests. That's just how WordPress works. So let's do one more test just to double check. Yep. So 1.6, 1.7, we're getting great scores. We're loading a lot faster. Total page size is down. Everything is in a lot better shape than when we started. So that's pretty much it. Go through the website, do all the maintenance, like I said, get everything cleaned up, and then from there, optimize your images, get a caching plugin installed, and usually that will take care of most WordPress issues with the website being slow and get you beyond where you were before, so faster than you started with. So All right, thanks for watching, and again, reach out to me at easyweb101.com if you need some help with this.